Thank you for joining Dr. Jame Rini and I, Dana Ortiz, for a look behind the curtain of letting destiny deliver. Dr. Rini is a practicing psychotherapist for the last 46 years, and I am a retired law enforcement officer with 26 years experience. I am now an artist and psychology student. Dr. Rini's book is available in digital format on Amazon and in audio version on his YouTube channel. We are going to talk about the 2 tiers of consciousness. This conversation may lead to feelings of inspiration and curiosity, and it could create some inner movement. That's all welcome. Life will reveal your destiny through all opportunities you keep yourself available for. So allow yourself to stay open, and let's see what destiny delivers. So, are you ready to talk today about the lower tier and higher tier of consciousness?
Yes.
Okay, let's get into it. Your book explains the lower tier houses our basic animal instincts. Can you give examples of basic animal instincts in humans?
To survive.
Okay.
And to survive, we need to eat, to be safe, to sleep, to reproduce. Those are the basic instincts because they're necessary for sheer survival.
So sex and food and water.
Safety.
Safety and safety. All right. And the higher tier of consciousness is explained to house the advanced human instincts. What are advanced human instincts?
Fulfilling one's destiny is the most advanced human instinct. More popular term for that is self-actualization.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the most advanced instinct. Most people, and literally most people, do not fulfill that. You know, back when it was first created, they hypothesized that about 10% of the population is self-actualized.
But if I understand correctly, everybody has the ability to do this or not?
Everybody has the instinct.
Okay.
But the thing about the lower instincts versus the higher instinct, we'll say, of self-actualization, is that with like self-actualization, it is a weak instinct. Weak in that we don't think about it. We don't get strong urges. Contrast that or compare that with sex, which is a very strong instinct. People think about it all the time. It drives entire cultures either to suppress it or be free with it. So the higher instincts are weaker in that sense. Like another higher instinct is love. Okay. But again, we can deny that in ourselves. Like safety is more important than love. But safety isn't more important than food. Okay, we'll risk our lives to eat, but a lot of people won't risk getting hurt for love.
So there's a hierarchy to it.
There is, but in terms of the strength of the signal too. Because the basic needs, we have to fulfill them in order to survive. The higher ones, we need to fulfill them to meet our destiny, but not to survive.
Okay, that makes sense. So I want to read a portion of the book. And this portion stood out to me. Neglecting or undermining all or some of the advanced instincts is detrimental to the self-health system. Why is this true? It says neglecting or undermining all or some of the advanced instincts. Why is this so detrimental to the self-health system?
If you were missing an arm, would that be detrimental to your ability to accomplish things? If you were missing a leg?
It just depends on what I was trying to accomplish.
Well, you'd be surprised. I broke my arm one time and was in traction for 2 months. So I had to do everything one-handed. Fortunately, the hand that I am was the hand I had use of. But not having that right hand immobilized me in so many ways or slowed me down. Okay? So the whole, you have to have the whole thing. I mean, if you do a jigsaw puzzle and you can't find the last piece, are you going to feel whole? Are you going to feel finished with the puzzle if you still got that one blank spot? So the advanced needs advances. They take us to a higher level, I guess is another way of putting it. And if you stay with the basic needs, which is easy to do because they're the most powerful and the most dominating of our consciousness then. Okay. And then we use drugs or alcohol or gambling or pornography to numb us because we're not fulfilling those higher needs. And then they become habits which take control of us.
Well, I'm glad you used those examples because those are so prevalent in society. I mean, 3 of the 4 definitely resonated with me. So I know that is so common for people in our society, and numbing seemingly just feels good. And then you think, oh, I want to gamble. Oh, go be sexual all day long, and no judging about any of that stuff. But when it becomes a problem and it interferes with your daily life, right? That is a problem. So it is a way of undermining what you are trying to do or what you could be doing, right? With your self-actualization. And to stop that pattern is so difficult. So the book emphasizes the danger of confusing lower tier impulses. An example listed was sex for love. What reflective methods do you recommend for someone to distinguish authentic higher instincts from their lower tier imitations? I mean, so we'll just use sex for love. This one is so common. So how do you distinguish?
I wish there was a simple answer for that.
That's what I'm looking for here.
You know, people confuse love for lots of things. They confuse love for selfishness. They confuse love for guilt. And it's easy to confuse them because we're not born being able to discern. We have to learn. And we can only learn that from experience and teachers, good teachers. And there is a poverty of that today. We're not helping people discern these things. Instead, we get them addicted to being on their phone.
I think people love being on their phone and they love their phones. But it was
loving a thing.
Yeah, it's very different than sex for love and misunderstanding.
Very different than loving a person. Things can't love us back. Things can't complain. Things can't give us feedback about things we might need to hear so that we become more advanced, so that we grow.
Unless we program it with AI now, which I think is a whole nother topic.
But see, just the opposite is done. It's programmed with an algorithm, so it reinforces what you already think or want, because that's what it sends you. So it's the opposite of that. It creates a, what is that called? Echo chamber.
That's good. Okay. There's one last portion that I would like to read. It's a full paragraph from your book. The instincts drive us all to feel safe and rested, to have a full stomach, to be loved, respected, understood. needed, and to be somebody. Conforming to the dictates of the outer world, however, makes expressing and satisfying these needs so laden with fear, guilt, shame, confusion, and humiliation that it boggles the mind. Because of these painful feelings, we can become cynical, hard, or overprotective. If we do harden ourselves, we risk drifting away from the inner core's most important survival mechanism. It's innate goodness and softness. I love those last words so much. Innate goodness and softness. It sounds so sweet. I love it so much because I definitely have been that cynical, hard person, overprotective, all of that. And now where I am at, and I've developed that innate goodness and softness, that just words are just beautiful. But what does that mean?
All right, I'll use this analogy. Everybody loves babies. Okay. That loves babies. But
I love babies. I just happen to know not everybody loves babies.
Yeah, you're right.
I do love them though.
All right. But babies, they tend to be happy. They smile. They coo. They're lovable for people who love babies. Okay, I'll keep it with that. And then look at adults. What they become, those cute, lovable babies that smile and you can play with them, become criminals, become sociopaths, become liars or cheaters or, So that's what I mean by that innate goodness and softness. A baby has that innate softness and goodness. Okay. But then life, because it is confusing and humiliating and laden with fear, guilt, and shame, hardens us. And we become bitter or angry or prejudiced, and we therefore become over-identified with those emotions, with those states of mind.
So to me, when I hear you talking, it's literally, for the hardened, cynical individuals, they're conforming to the world, right? And they're inside, they're like, this feels terrible. So they're hardening, but it's the conforming that is literally hardening them. Is that correct? Or is it something different?
Conforming is an interesting word that you choose. It's like scar tissue. Okay, because these are things that have been hurtful, that come from loving somebody and being hurt or being traumatized or being abandoned. You've taken this higher advanced need and now turned it into something that I rather avoid than go through again.
I see. So, to the people listening who are either cynical or hardened or on their way there, how does one remove what doesn't belong while nurturing what does with respect to the instincts?
Well, first you need to know they exist. You have to...
An awareness. Yeah.
Host them and honor them too. Not just an awareness, you also have to host them and honor them.
And what does that mean?
That even though you don't want to be a hurt again, that you host and honor your need to have a connection. But again, you have to develop the abilities to discern when it's safe and when it's not safe. And unfortunately, the odds are stacked against you that it's not going to be safe.
It's so tough. It makes it so difficult.
Huh?
It makes the process so difficult knowing that information. But I suppose there's nothing good in life that doesn't come without hard work or pain. That's my experience, though.
Okay, but it's going back to that conforming, the way society is set up in a capitalistic sense. Because everything is about money. Everything is about, having that money. And we then lose our freedom because money then becomes an addiction. But it's not recognized as an addiction because billionaires don't go into rehab for wanting to be billionaires.
I do believe this to be true. Money changes things in people. I've seen that for sure. Not in a good way.
But it's become an addiction.
Yes.
Who doesn't want quick money fast? Okay, we over-identify with that, and then, we've essentially sold our soul for money. And we're talking about conforming here. It's people have learned to be that way. You see commercials on TV all the time with the personal injury attorneys and how they got this person $850,000 and you got this person, and you're bombarded with them. And so what does that message come across as?
I mean, whether these messages are true or not, you're talking about in the media as well. To me, it manifests and it just turns into illness. Is that correct or no?
Well, yeah, because you're chasing something that isn't connected to your inner core. It's an addiction again. Addictions take control of us. That's the problem. They don't facilitate us. They don't spur us on. They get us stuck.
Yes, they do.
It's like being constipated.
It's terrible. I've been there for sure. It's terrible.
Yeah, but psychologically, it's these days you take a pill for it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to go to a doctor and have them say, you're not getting your advanced needs met. And they're going to say, you have problems with dopamine or serotonin and give you a pill for it, which is going to have an impact positively. But it's just another drug is what it is.
Yes, it is. So you describe consciousness as an energy system fueled by the tension of opposites. In practical terms, how can readers learn to reconcile opposites in moments of inner conflict and leverage tension as a catalyst for growth rather than frustration? Now, we kind of went over this already with regards to having that awareness and nurturing it, right? Harness it, nurture it. But you have these tensions. We've gone over in the last recordings about the opposites, and you have the inner conflict. And what is something they can do once they have that awareness and they've harnessed it for growth rather than frustrations?
Again, you ask these questions that don't have a simple answer. But the question is a good question, okay? But just to note that it doesn't have a one-size-fits-all kind of answer. But to give it the simplest answer that is in line with letting destiny deliver, you reconcile those opposites by having a healthy relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. Okay? Because conflict comes from being pulled in two directions at the same time. And too often, the way to resolve conflict that we're taught and that people use is we have to get rid of one of the conflict areas. Okay, if sex is a problem, then you make it taboo. No sex before marriage back in the day.
Well, that wouldn't fly today.
That's what I said back to the day. But that didn't work, see, it didn't work. And that's why it's the integration of the two. Both have truth. How do you manage that, Because really, plants have mastered that. Because they need both light and dark to carry on photosynthesis. It isn't one or the other. Okay, and so really the answer to the questions and details are in the book, but also, it's something that you have to commit yourself to. It isn't we like instant solutions, instant answers. That's why we like pills. Okay. We're an instant disposable society. We want things now and we want to be able to get rid of it when we're done with it.
But they don't give the results needed, and it's not good for long term.
Well, it doesn't fit with letting destiny deliver. It requires a long haul. People get lifetime achievement awards because they've devoted their whole lives to what they've achieved. Einstein devoted his whole life to physics and understanding the universe from that perspective. He wasn't scrolling on TikTok, so many hours a day, or playing internet chess, or having fun on Facebook.
That's a funny image. Well, I really appreciate all that insight for today. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I feel like we've covered some important territory, and I really appreciate you and how you make this all possible.
Well, thank you so much. Takes two on this journey.
Yeah, but you definitely are the producer and the director and creator.
Well, thank you so much for that.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, if there's nothing further, thank you for joining Dr. Rini and I on this journey behind the curtain of letting destiny deliver. Join us next time, and we will be discussing self-health and self-sabotage. This is such an exciting topic for me. Self-sabotage, I've done so much of that in my lifetime. So to be able to dive into that is going to be a cool time. Keep exploring, stay curious, and remember, destiny isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. Until next time, be well.